Hey everyone, I am pretty excited about today's video. I feel like this is a topic I've needed to cover for a while, and so I am very thankful for my Tier 4 patron who requested this as their personal video for this month. And I did just want to remind everyone real quick that if you are a Tier 4 patron, you get a short video made just for you with your topic of choice each month. And it's a pretty good deal, especially if you're someone who is maybe studying herbalism or beginning to homestead and you've got an area of interest that you've been researching, you can't really find much about, you don't really want to dive into a full course on it, or maybe don't have the money for a full course. I would like to encourage you to upgrade your tier for even just 1 month to get that one video topic of your choice. It's sort of like last year when I was doing my plant walks, which I still offer, but they've been temporarily on hold due to the virus. A lot of times when I would get students locally who wanted to learn more about a specific thing, and maybe it wasn't on my class schedule, I would say, just book a plant walk with me. We'll talk about it while we're doing our plant walk. And that was pretty awesome for them because they could book a 2-hour plant walk. Depending on if it was an hour or 2 hours, it was $40 to $75. And for that price, they could have their own class curriculum, ask any question they want, learn about any topic of choice. So for one $50 charge, because you can upgrade your tier and then cancel after you get the video, you get a video on your topic of choice. Now, this patron luckily chose a topic that we can all learn about. It wasn't super specific to something she was interested in. It was more so about using herbal products. So that's what prompted me to share it with everyone else. And her topic of choice was essentially what's the best way to use several herbal products at once? And I got another question like that this month that was essentially, now that we're all bringing on these antiviral elixirs, these immune boosters, we're adding things to our herbal regime, what's the best way to, be adding these in? Because at this point, I'm sure a lot of you, like us, have either a cabinet or a counter or a shelf that's just totally full of herbal preparations, which is both very exciting and a little bit intimidating. So I'm going to use the example that this patron specifically asked, and then I'll kind of trail off from there. So her specific items that she has of mine that she's wondering how to best use is our stomach mend tincture and our habituate tincture. So to give you a little background, the stomach mend is in another line. It's a line of tinctures we have. We've got stomach mend, lung mend, and heart mend. And really the purpose behind these 3 mending tinctures is that rather than just like easing a symptom, stopping a symptom, they are mending the tissues and trying to repair that organ of the body, that system of the body. So for example, lung mend, you could take an expectorant just to like help you get through a cold, or if you've had any sort of like traumatic stress to your lungs from, say, secondhand smoke, being around a ton of chemicals or pollution, or maybe you've had pneumonia for a few months, then you're going to want to take something like lung mend that's specifically regenerating those tissues. So stomach mend is one tincture that was meant to be seasonal, but it ended up getting very popular because it works so well for so many folks. And that's kind of why. So we see a lot of stomach tinctures on the market, like bitters, for example, and bitters are incredible for a few things. Bitter herbs activate the mucosa. They really help support like a good digestive flow. But bitter herbs can also be a little too irritating if you have any actual chronic stomach issues, like let's just say ulcers or cyclical vomiting or hot spots. then bitters are going to be a little irritating. So that's when you're going to want to instead take something like Stomach Mend. And Stomach Mend is a really gentle, powerful blend that's working to regenerate the lining of the stomach. It's working to really help work with the mucosa to keep things like just running smoothly, and repairing and recovering is the key word there. So this is a great example, because then we've got the other tincture she asked about, Habituate. Habituate I typically describe as a multivitamin for your body's stress response. So Habituate is full of tonic herbs, and we know that tonic herbs are herbs that you can take long term. You can take them every day. You can take them in high doses. They're very gentle. And so imagine like vitamin C, I guess. Like you can eat tons of fruit. Upping your vitamin C intake for the most part is only going to be helpful. So that's sort of how we view tonic herbs. And especially when the tonic herbs are these tropho-restorative nervines. And what that means is, okay, another quick deep dive here. I'm just going to use skullcap and passion flower as an example of nervines. Those are your classic nervines. A nervine herb is going to be really relaxing, mildly sedating, very calming to the endocrine system, very supportive as well, but it's really more so focused on easing and calming and comforting. Then we have this category called tropho-restoratives. A lot of you are familiar with milky oats. That's probably my favorite tropho-restorative. Oh, I just realized this beautiful phone shadow here. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get better about these videos, but sometimes the odds are just against me. Let's see if maybe I can get rid of it. Oh. Okay, that's better. All right, tropho-restorative. So milky oats, very gentle, also very powerful. It is a nervine herb. But so what's going to be different about these tropho-restoratives is that they are sort of like tonic nervine herbs, but they're also special in that they're really supporting the nervous system. So rather than something like skullcap that's pretty strong, and you're going to, well, skullcap is pretty nourishing too. What's another one I can think of here? There are many nervines like skullcap that you can feel their power pretty instantly. You can take a drop of our comfort tincture and just kind of feel the tension leave your body. Tropho-restoratives are more long-term. They're working by supporting the endocrine, supporting the nervous system by really nourishing them and feeding them what they need to have a stronger and more positive stress response. So if you're someone who's subjected to stress a lot, you are going to want a lot of tropho-restoratives. And so this is why there's another category here that can be tricky, and that's adaptogen herbs. I do want to have a deep dive into adaptogens soon, because they are an incredible section of herbs, but they're not always necessary. More times than not, I'm going to recommend a tropho-restorative blend. However, our Habituate blend does have some adaptogenic herbs. They're not strictly adaptogen herbs. They've got a lot of other things going on. So just to reel it back in here, our Habituate blend is a blend of really nice endocrine supporting tropho-restorative herbs. So it's like a multivitamin for your stress response. I tell people I keep it in my purse. I take it every time I think about it. So sometimes that's 4 times a day. Sometimes I miss a day because I don't open my purse. Sometimes I take 2 full droppers. Sometimes I'll go ahead and take, 2 full droppers at once, and maybe I do that twice a day. All that to say, when you're taking an herbal supplement like that, you don't have to worry that much about dosing. Whereas something like Stomach Mend, you're not taking that as a multivitamin or a supplement. You're taking that because you want those herbal actions to be, actively helping something that you've got going on. So, for example, I want to say it was about 2 months ago now, I started noticing my heart rate increasing. And it was increasing like with physical activity, sometimes not with physical activity. My face was getting flushed. I could feel my heart rate. And it was a little bit freaky, but I've never had any sort of anything in my family, so I just kind of trusted that it was maybe from excess stress, maybe from lots of changes. Anyways, I started taking our Heart Min tincture, and I started taking that because I wanted it to be working on that heart rate and really to be supporting my heart. So I started taking it daily. And within a few weeks, my heart rate is totally back to normal. So at that point, I'm only speaking for myself here. I'm not ever recommending that you all don't go see your doctor if something like that happens. But at this point for me, I'm going to go ahead and sign that off as stress and not go to my doctor. But that said, I was very strict with my routine with that because I was working on something, a certain organ in the body. So I would wake up and take that Heart Min tincture every single day. And oftentimes I would take a dropper of it before dinner as well. So just to really hone in and break that down for you all, something like stomach mend, if you are taking it for its actions in the stomach, if you've got something going on in your stomach, you are going to want to make sure that you're taking that routinely. And whether you take that in the morning or at night or before a meal or after a meal is really not as important as making sure that you take it every single day. So I typically tell people what's easier for you to remember, to keep it by your toothbrush, to keep it by other vitamins that you take in the morning, by your coffee pot, maybe next to your bed, whatever is easiest for you. There are a few things that are better to take before a meal, but not many. And so let's talk about that a little bit. Why do we recommend taking tinctures under the tongue? Because we want it to hit your bloodstream faster. Think about how if you are taking, I'm going to paint a pretty intense image here for you guys, but imagine that you've just taken a vitamin and you've eaten a ton of food, like just tons. Well, you probably might end up going to the bathroom before that vitamin has had time to dissipate into the bloodstream and the proper regions of the body, and then maybe it leaves with your food and you lose half of it in the digestion process. Now, typically stomach acid is going to help break things down before that happens, but we really want any herbal supplements, powders, tinctures, pills, capsules, etc. to hit the bloodstream. So that's why you hear it recommended to take before meals. So if you can have this visual image that I'm about to give you, you will be able to decide for yourself the best way to dose things. So if I'm taking stomach mend, I'm going to take it, all tinctures, I'm pretty much going to take under the tongue if I can. Now, I know that some tinctures, like our Moon Cycle Sync, for example, are a lot stronger tasting than other tinctures. They've also got that strong alcohol flavor mixed in with the herbs, and in that soft tissue under the tongue, it can burn and be just awful. So what I typically tell people is hold a tincture under your tongue as long as you can. Now, something like stomach mend and habituate, those are very tasty. It is not hard to do. Ideally, you should be aiming for 30 seconds. Hold it there as long as you can. Have a glass of water or a kombucha or whatever nearby. And if it starts to burn or irritate you too much, go ahead and take a sip of water. Another thing you can do, and I've got a few clients that really enjoy taking their tinctures daily this way. First thing you do when you wake up, take a little shot glass of water, just a little tiny bit. Drop your tincture in that little shot of water. Maybe you're taking 2 tinctures. Drop both of those tinctures in that shot of water. Take that shot of water, swish it around in your mouth if you don't mind. Take a sip. The biggest thing is that not only do we want herbs to hit the bloodstream quicker, all the mucosa in your mouth lining, in your throat, your esophagus on its way down to its stomach, all of that is really important too. especially for bitter herbs and herbs that we really need to taste and experience in order to get their benefits. So ideally, the very best thing you could do with any tincture, take it under your tongue, hold it under there as long as you can, take just a little sip of water and just slowly let it go down and do its thing. I've even heard some herbalists recommend gargling with tinctures. And now in a time like this, or in a time where you specifically have a sore throat, I do think that's a phenomenal idea. If any of you have our antiviral or respiratory elixirs at home right now from the virus, gargling with those, or not even gargling, just holding it in the back of your throat and kind of letting it slowly drip down to swallow is a really good idea to give it that chance to activate in the mucosa. So hopefully I'm not losing you here. Let me reel it back in a bit. So the idea of tinctures, we want them to enter the bloodstream quicker. So we're going to take them under the tongue if we can stand it. If you can't stand it, try it in a shot of water. If you really can't do that either, you can put them in a full glass of water or juice or whatever. That's absolutely fine. Now, things like habituate that you're taking as more of a vitamin, like let's say you're taking a hair, skin, and nails tincture or vitamin 2. One thing I'll do sometimes is I have a water bottle that I drink every day. I fill it up multiple times a day. Sometimes I'll just go ahead and put all my tinctures for the day in that water bottle. That is absolutely fine too. Just keep in mind that at that point, you're not necessarily getting the benefits of it entering the bloodstream quicker, taking it on an empty stomach, because you're probably sipping that water all day, right? And not thinking about it. So yes, best case scenario, before a meal is wonderful. In your mouth with nothing else is also wonderful, but there's plenty of other ways to take tinctures. So don't feel like you have to stick to these things. Now, here's another time where dosing and instruction is important. Another very strong tincture we have is our Rest in Peace tincture. That's a tincture for sleep and severe anxiety. Let's say your bedtime is 10 p.m. Let's say it's 9:30. You are thinking about going to bed. You're going to take your Rest in Peace tincture. You hate the taste, so you don't want to take it under your tongue, so you take it in a glass of water. Well, guess what? If you just ate dinner about an hour before and now you're drinking a full glass of water, those herbs are not going to hit your bloodstream for probably an hour, to be realistic. So if you're trying to get to bed by 10, it's not going to work its magic. So that is one that I would say, if you don't think about it until 30 minutes or less before bed, you really need to try and hold it under your tongue as long as you possibly can. Now, maybe you take Rest in Peace routinely. You know it helps, you love it, you think about it at 9 p.m. every night before bed, and you just go ahead and drink it with a glass of water after or before dinner. That's fine. As long as you understand that when you take a tincture in a glass of water or juice or whatever with a meal, it's going to go all the way through the digestive tract, which takes some time. So here's another good example. If you're taking our comfort tincture or resiliency or dormancy, any of our anxiety blends, if you're having anxiety and you reach for one of those tinctures, you're probably going to want to take that under the tongue so you can get some relief from that anxiety as quickly as possible. So anyways, I hope this has helped a bit. I'm going to now change my topic a little bit into how to introduce more supplements into your routine. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and use myself as an example here. I obviously take a lot of tinctures because we make a lot of them and we pretty much have one of everything around the house. So I'm going to give you basically my most used. I do have a daily one, and that daily one is our Moon Cycle Sync blend. I have been taking that blend every single day of my life since I was about 15, 16 years old. And reason being, I have endometriosis. Endometriosis is something that I feel affects my life on nearly a daily basis, with chronic pain, with inflammation, with even during my ovulation. So just to be on the safe side and to keep my body happy and to be regulating some of the symptoms that come with that, I just take it every day. And, you know, some people see that as a nuisance. At this point in my life, I just see it as a part of supporting myself. So could I probably stop taking Moon Cycle Sync? Yeah, probably. Could I maybe take it only 2 weeks out of the month? Sure, and a lot of people do. But I recommend doing what feels best for you. So when I have other people take our Moon Cycle Sync tincture, say you are someone who doesn't have endometriosis or PCOS or something that affects you regularly. Let's just say you have a pretty tough cycle that comes with some intense PMS. I am probably going to recommend that you start taking it when you get it, every day until your first period. Then, once you've really got those herbs in your system, you know your body reacts well to them, then you can start to get in the habit of taking it either the week before your period or the week of your period, whenever you feel those symptoms the most, and see if that's enough for you. If that brings you relief but you want more, just take it a little longer. It's going to be different for everyone. And I'm not sure if everyone knows this, but technically herbalists are not allowed to give individual dosage instructions, especially not without having you sign a consent form, which is something that happens during the process of a consultation. And the only people who can and should be taking consultations are clinical herbalists. I'm a clinical herbalist, but I've taken a hiatus from consultations to focus on my son's health and my health this year. But there are lots of other incredible clinicians out there. So if you want a little bit more and you want to have someone tell you exact dosing, that might be a good route for you. But I do really want to instill some confidence in you all. Every body is different. It also depends a lot on the medications that you're taking, your height, your weight, your blood type, your everything. So what I always recommend with every single supplement, start soft, gently. Just take a few drops a day. Make sure that your body is ready to receive those herbs with no reactions. And then you can begin to increase as needed. And if you start that way, you're going to really be able to find that sweet spot, what dose feels right for you, and do that. So just keep in mind, our dose instructions on our bottles are just a very generalized recommended starting point for you all. Okay, so introducing more. Okay, back to what I was saying. So I take Moon Cycle Sync just about every day. I'm not gonna lie, I'm human. I forget things sometimes. I also take a bitters just about daily. I also take our habituate daily. And what else am I taking right now? I think I have a dormancy in my purse at the moment. And of course, right now, we're taking a vitamin D supplement, a vitamin C supplement. We're taking our elderberry astragalus turkey tail syrup. We're taking our antiviral syrup, and even a little bit of respiratory. So my routine before the virus, I would add my Moon Cycle Sync to whatever I was drinking that day, my water bottle. Maybe I'll add a little emergency packet or something else, another tincture. Then throughout the day, I love to take my bitters before or after a meal. Again, just whenever I think about it. Technically, it's a little bit better to take them before. It just really helps with digestion. It's something that you can even physically feel. So I love that. I keep a bitters in my bag. I take habituate whenever I think about it. Like I mentioned before, anytime. If we're having trouble sleeping, then I will take the Rest in Peace tincture before bed. Augustine has our glyceride that we make for children called Rockabye Baby that he'll take before bed too if he's having a hard time sleeping. And then he also has a children's safe bitters that I've made for him too called Tummy Tamer. And at this point, he really knows when to take those for himself, which is awesome. So now that we're taking all those other things, basically what happens is once a day, typically if we're going to go out walking or doing something right now, we will take them before. And the reason for that is there are a lot of incredible herbs, both antivirals, immune regulators, modulators. There's a lot of herbs that can actually protect you in the face of a virus and bacteria. So having those herbs in your system while coming in contact with different types of bacteria is actually a pretty good idea. So right now, we typically try to take all those supplements after breakfast. Would be a good time of day. And so typically what I do is I get a vitamin D, get a vitamin C, get a probiotic, and I lay those out for each of us. We take those vitamins, and then I have a plastic, what's it called? I think it's a 2 milliliter. I think I have a plastic 2 milliliter pipette. You can get those on Amazon. They're reusable. We wash them and do them over and over. You can also get large glass ones. And if you're someone who is taking this many tinctures, especially if you're taking our elixirs in those big family size jars, that can be a little bit easier than pouring it into a teaspoon every time. So at this point, I will take the dropper, and I'll take a dropper of the antiviral and the immune one, and I'll give those to Augustine. I'll take the immune and antiviral and respiratory for myself because I'm already dealing with a little bit of allergies. And as we know with the virus, the respiratory part can be pretty sneaky. So keeping the mucus thin is really important right now. And then I'll give Francesco also the antiviral and immune boosting one. So hopefully this has been helpful. Definitely let me know if you have more questions. But the bottom line here, I think, is really intuitively dosing. And hopefully that's what this video has done for you, is shown you that you can really do this pretty intuitively. Are you taking something that you need, like you have stomach issues, heart issues, lung issues? Are you taking a tincture for that you really need to fix this issue? Then take it every single day, preferably at the same time. Are you just kind of taking something when you're feeling anxious, maybe before bed if you're having a hard time sleeping, or maybe you're habituate your multivitamin for stress? Take it whenever, you know? So that's really the gist of things here. And no, there's no problem with taking them at once. It is a little bit better to space them out, I feel like, because it really gives those herbs a chance to shine in the body and do what they need to do without, like, let's just say another herb maybe with similar actions getting in the way. And that said, I will mention contraindications. Contraindications is unfortunately not something that I can give you guys. In fact, what you're supposed to do as a clinical herbalist is purchase every single year a new publication of, like, let's say 2020 herbal contraindications. I have the 2018 and 19 herbal contraindications. And essentially what that looks like is new medications, maybe new developments in research. But what you're going to do is flip through it, find any medication that you've been prescribed from your physician or who knows what, and then you're going to be able to see any contraindications. You can also just Google them. If you are someone on pharmaceuticals or any sort of medications, it's always a good idea to just, like, let's say you're purchasing our Comfort tincture. We know that Comfort has motherwort, skullcap, and lemon balm. I think so. Let's just say I'm on an antidepressant. I'm going to type in the name of that antidepressant, and I'm going to say antidepressant, contraindication, motherwort. Antidepressant, contraindication, lemon balm. And there you'll be able to see as much information as we have available. So that's my recommendation for that. Yeah, don't overcomplicate it too much. It's pretty simple stuff. Herbs want to do their thing. They want to help support your body. And really, although there are some herbal contraindications, since herbs are supporting the body from the inside out, there's not going to be quite as many contraindications as pharmaceuticals. Whereas pharmaceuticals have all these chemical responses that are happening in the brain and the body and the blood. If you're taking several of those with maybe similar or opposite actions, there's going to be some trouble there. So I would even recommend, people don't think about this, but your doctors are not looking up the contraindications of the pharmaceutical medications that they're prescribing you. It's always a good idea to look that up. I highly suggest to you, if you are on more than one medication, that you just go ahead and look up for fun the names of the medications you're on and see if there's any contraindications between those, because you might unfortunately be surprised. All right, I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for listening.